Since we have reached the new year, it's time to dive into my top 10 films back from 2024. But before we get into those, I just want to name off a few honorable mentions. Alien Romulus, A Real Pain, My Old Ass, The First Omen, Hundreds of Beavers, Sing Sing, Dee Dee, Conclave, Baby Girl, and His Three Daughters. All right, now with the number 10. Whenever people ask me for a new movie recommendation, Hitman is always what I tell them to go check out. One, because it's on Netflix and easily accessible, but two, it's just a damn good movie. I think it's really hard for films to strike the right balance between comedy and heart, and we've seen a few films manage to do that this year, but Hitman might be the most striking example in my opinion. Glenn Powell, Adria Arjona, and Austin Emilio all give fantastic performances alongside Linklater's just really solid directing. The chemistry between Powell and Arjona is just electric. They are so good on screen together. And there's this one scene towards the end of the film that I don't want to give away, but it involves a phone and the Notes app, and if you know this scene, then you might agree with me that it is just one of the most impressive scenes and just acting moments of this year, in film. At least in my opinion it was. I absolutely loved it. I knew I'd like Clint Eastwood's Juror Number 2, but I didn't expect it to completely reel me in and captivate me the way it did. The film moves a little slowly for the first 15 minutes or so, introducing its characters and the plot, but once you actually figure out what the court case is, it just takes off in a sprint. Nicholas Hoult gives one of my favorite performances of the year. He communicates so much, just through his piercing blue eyes, really. And there's just so much emotion going on with his character, and there's just such a conflict of interest and a debate in morality that is so fascinating within this film. And not only to see how he deals with it, but then other characters deal with that issue. It's so interesting. The entire ensemble too is really impressive. The whole jury, Toni Collette, J.K. Simmons, everyone in this film is just really on their A game here, and Clint Eastwood delivers just an absolute hit. Anora would be one of my favorite films of the year by far, but unfortunately it is bogged down by a bloated runtime just a little bit. Some of these scenes just go on for a little too long. Every time I've seen this film, I have wondered, what time is it? I feel like it's been a little too long, where it's just felt a little stagnant. But regardless of that, this film is so funny. This might be the most funny movie of the year. And it has so many fantastic performances. Mikey Madison especially. She just start to finish is so good. Just everything she's doing, from the accent work to reacting to this reverse Cinderella story that this movie is trying to tell, is so well done. Not to mention Yura Borisov and Mark Eidelstein, and really just everybody in this movie is fantastic. Sean Baker has some really good direction here. The cinematography is great, and overall this movie's just a great time. It gets harder to watch as it goes on and as it just gets more unfortunate, but it never loses its hilarious touch. Nickel Boys is the first of those three buzzer beater movies that I saw right at the end of the year. This was actually the last movie I saw of 2024, and just it blew me away. Ramel Ross's direction is superb. I have never seen a movie that looks and feels this way. I've seen POV cinematography done in film before, but not the way that Ramel Ross does it. Not this artistically. Really, I can't stop just thinking about some of the imagery here, some of the close-ups, just like that one shot that you would see in the trailer with like the clothing iron, and really just all of that. And it did make me connect more with the characters here as well. Being able to see the world from their perspective, literally, I think helps a lot here. And Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor is just the heart here of this movie. She's not in it a lot, but when she's there, oh my God, is she good. Like seriously, just one of my just favorite performances of the year. There are so many great performances this year, but she gives just such a good one. I saw 19 films at the Cannes Film Festival. I did not expect Furiosa to be one of my favorites, like really close to just being my favorite movie that I saw there. The first word that I think when I think of this film is just epic. Anya Taylor-Joy, who gets slack for not having a lot of dialogue in this film, I think is so solid as Furiosa and is able to communicate so much just with expression and body language. And just there's so much hate there, and she just does it so well. Chris Hemsworth, on the other hand, just hams it up in every scene, and it is just awesome. And I know that Fury Road was a lot for this film to live up to, and for many people it didn't do so, but for me it did. And I just think the editing is really well done, the cinematography is great, the score is great, and yeah, I really enjoyed Furiosa. I don't even know where to start with The Brutalist. It is split into two different halves with a scripted intermission, and just really for the full 3.5-hour runtime is one of the most beautiful looking and sounding and just well acted films I have seen in such a long time. The Paul Thomas Anderson type of moments in this film were so well executed, and it's great. I mean, Adrien Brody gives what might be like the best performance of the year. Maybe. I'm gonna really have to think hard on that one. It's between him and one other person who we will get to very soon. And yeah, he's fantastic. Felicity Jones doesn't show up till halfway through the movie. Doesn't matter, because the second she does, she makes her presence known. And Guy Pearce, what a performance from Guy Pearce as well. I mean, so funny in moments, but also just like gross and slimy, and he's a total scumbag here. What a movie, what a epic. The VistaVision was a fantastic decision, and I really want to watch this movie again. I feel like on a second watch, I will fall in love with this movie. I feel like I'm very close. But right now, as things stand, this will be my number 5. But like, don't be surprised if after a second watch, this shoots up even higher on my list, because it's that good. Like really, what everyone's saying, I think is totally true. You know, this is a monumental, magnetic film. Honestly, I've been pretty cold on Robert Eggers compared to most people. I thought The Witch was okay, The Lighthouse was good, and same with The Northman, but I didn't really love any of his movies, let alone think that any of them were like great. But now I finally get it with Nosferatu. This movie just clicked with me. The cinematography just blew me away. I loved how most of the shots were just very long takes. It just made the film so much more suspenseful. All of the performances here too are really great. Lily Rose Depp gives a absolutely fantastic one, whether it be when she's monologuing or during a possession scene or when she's interacting with Count Orlok. Nicholas Hoult as well is really solid here, you know, just getting completely cucked in this movie if we're being real. And then Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok, just wow. You know, he is just unrecognizable behind the makeup and gives really just a fantastic accent as well. The most recognizable he is just when he gives like the crazy Pennywise eyes a couple of times in this film. I also just had a lot of fun with the dialogue here because it's written in this old-timey Shakespearean English way, but it's written to be very easily understandable. I don't think it's, you know, too difficult to get what the actors are saying here, because although the order of their words is different to what we are used to, the majority of the words that they are actually using are words that you have heard before, which I appreciate. They weren't using a bunch of random like Old English words that you've maybe heard once in your life. I love The Substance. Seriously, it is just so great. Demi Moore is the other person I was talking about. When I was talking about Adrien Brody giving what might be my favorite performance of the year, the only other competitor for Brody is Demi Moore. She was in a similar position to Elizabeth Sparkle in a way that she was this fading or faded star from the 90s who, you know, she hadn't been in a lot of films. She kind of lost that high profile she used to have. And she earned it back with this film. She fought back, and now like she's really being talked about. She could win the Oscar, like she's going that far. And in this film, the emotional traumas of being a faded actor, or really actress, are dissected mentally and physically, and Moore is just shines in this role. Margaret Qualley was also really great as Sue, and then just the ending of this film is incredible. I loved every moment of it, and really just like this is a almost 2.5 hour long film, which is something that I forget. Like this is a really long movie, but it flies by. The editing is fantastic. The cinematography is really nice with just a lot of extreme close-ups that are so fascinating to look at. Challengers, yeah, I still think about this movie just every day. This love triangle is just, it's perfect. It is the perfect movie love triangle. Josh O'Connor gives by far my favorite supporting performance of the year. I don't even think it's close. He is so good here. Zendaya and Mike Faist are great too, but yeah, Josh O'Connor just literally steals every scene that he is in and is so great. The tension is just so palpable and so thick. You could slice it with a butcher knife and there'd still be tension there, you know? It's strong and just irresistible, really. And, you know, you can't take your eyes off of this film. And when these characters are together, whether it's Mike Faist and Zendaya, or Josh O'Connor and Zendaya, or Josh O'Connor and Mike Faist, like all of those interactions are flawless. Really, the chemistry between all of those characters is so good, and the connection and the way that this story is just told in like 3 different like chapters that are strung together non-linearly, but then the chapters themselves move linearly. It's structured ingeniously. Like, what a screenwriting debut for Justin Kritzky's. Honestly, most years, this would be my number 1. And for a while, this was my number 1. The Substance was also my number 1 for a little while. But there was one other movie that came out this year that for a little while I was almost in denial of how great it was, but then I got to rewatch it and I was just like, yeah, this is like almost a flawless movie. And that movie is, yeah, this is the basic pick. Dune Part 2 is 100% the basic number 1 movie of this year, but there is a reason for that. It is just non-stop, gorgeous, captivating, just thrilling. You know, this is just the look of this film, the feel of it, the performances, the chemistry, the everything, the way it just builds off of the first part of this film is so good. And Denis, you know, to his credit, he saw the reactions to part one, how part one was a little boring. There wasn't a lot of humor. There wasn't enough action. In this film, there's more action. There's more humor. It is never boring. All the performances are fantastic. Timothée Chalamet, great. Rebecca Ferguson, great. Austin Butler, oh my God, Austin Butler. Yeah, just what a conniving scoundrel that guy is in this film. And yeah, just seriously, this movie is, it is a movie. Denis is one of the best working directors right now, and then got to work with some of the best working people in like their individual crafts, like Greg Fraser and like Hans Zimmer. So yeah, just all around, this movie is so competent, so well made. I can't wait for Dune Messiah, but yeah, like I don't know if Dune Messiah can top this, because this movie is just fantastic and pretty damn close to just being a flawless movie. But with that being said, that is my top 10. Real quick, here are some of the movies that I just did not get a chance to see this year, and you know, they could make this list at some point when I get a chance to see them, but unfortunately, as things stand, they are not on this list because I am yet to see them. And if you would like to see the full list of the 150 movies I have seen this year, you can click a link in this description and that'll take you to a list on Letterboxd. And yeah, with that being said, thank you all for tuning into this video. Please feel free to comment down below what you think of this top 10 and what your own personal top 10 is. I would love to have a discussion. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.